وَلَا تَتَّبِعِ الْهَوَى فَيُضِلُّكَ عَنْ سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ. And follow not your desire, for it will mislead you from the path of Allah.
Abi Salama ibn Abdul Rahman, who was from the great scholars of the Tabi'een being the second generation, the generation after the companions. He said, لم يكن أصحاب رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم متحزقين ولا متماوتين. The companions of the Messenger of Allah عليه الصلاة والسلام, never were they mutahazziqeen, never were they groupies, cliquey. We are the companions, and we, because of our fadl, because of our virtue of having suhbah, the virtue of having been companions of the Messenger of Allah alayhi salatu wasalam, we're going to shut ourselves off from you, the tabi'een. We're not going to allow you to enter into our clique. So this tabi'i, he says, never were the companions mutahazziqeen, never were they cliquey. So therefore that indicates what? That they were people that were rather munbasit. They were people that reached out their arms, extended invitation to others. Never did they shun people away. Never did they cut people off. Never did they say, we're an elite group of people and you can't enter into our social company. Well, the companions in general, they weren't a people that would shut people off. They weren't cliquey. وَلَا مُتَمَاوِتِينَ. And they weren't a people that used to feign weakness in religion, feign weakness in worship. But rather they would worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ala al-jidd. They used to worship Allah with seriousness, with strength. وَكَانُوا يَتَنَاشَدُونَ الشِّعْرِ فِي مَجَالِسِهِمْ. And the companions ridwanullahi ta'ala alayhim, they would recite poetry in their gatherings. وَيَذْكُرُونَ أَمْرَ جَاهِلِيَّتِهِمْ. And likewise they would mention their jahiliyyah, affairs related to their jahiliyyah, affairs related to what they did before they came to Islam in their pre-Islamic days. فَإِذَا أُرِيدَ أَحَدٌ مِّنْهُمْ عَلَى شَيْءٍ مِّنْ أَمْرِ اللَّهِ دَارَتْ حَمَالِيقُ عَيْنَيْهِ كَأَنَّهُ مَجْنُونَ. But when it was the case that someone attempted to induce them, someone attempted to persuade them from a matter of the deen, then those very same humble companions, the inner eyelids of theirs would turn, and as though they were insane. The inner eyelids would turn as though he is a person insane, meaning they would become filled with anger, and you'd see it in their eyes, the stare that they would make, the anger that would become apparent in their eyes as a result of what? As a result of somebody perpetrating some form of evil, as a result of somebody asking them something in order to persuade them from a matter of the deen. So this narration here, the primary matter that we want to get from this is that the companions of Ridwanullahi ta'ala alayhim weren't people that were cliquey, weren't people that would shut everybody else off from them. You, the tabi'een, you are lower than us. We saw the Messenger alayhi salatu wasalam while we believed in him. We met him. We saw wahi coming down upon him. We fought alongside him. Our loved ones were killed when he was here. Never were the companions like this, shutting people off from them. But rather, they were open to people. Rather, they were a people just like everybody else. They would go out to the shops, purchase things. They would ride their beasts. They would ride their riding beasts out in the streets like everybody else, open to people. And likewise, from what we benefit from this narration, that it is permitted to engage in shi'r, in poetry from time to time, as long as it is the case that there is no profanity in there, obviously, and there aren't any lyrics that are romantic lyrics and what have you. I'm sure no brother would read romantic lyrics with another brother, but you never know nowadays. And likewise, what we benefit from this is that the companions, Ridwanullahi ta'ala alayhim, they would mention how they were in the days of Jahiliyyah, in pre-Islamic days. For example, they might mention that one time I was on a journey and I had a deity that I used to worship, made it out of dates. But then I became hungry, and then what does he do? He goes and eats his own deity. He goes and eats his own God. So the companions, they would mention these type of things in their gatherings. This is what we used to do, as some of us might say, back in the days. Back in the days, do you remember, Aki, I used to do this, and I used to do that, and so on and so forth. So, in a similar way, the companions used to do so. But this isn't an allowance to speak about the things that we might have done prior to being guided out of bigging those things up. Brother, back in the days, I used to engage in these type of haram things. You know what I mean? People might say, back in the days I used to be selling this, and he's speaking as though he's boasting about it. This is not the way. Back in the days I used to have these type of ilaqat and what have you, these type of relationships and what have you, boasting about it. No. You say it, the companions, they said it. Why? They said it because this is how we were. Look how far we were. Look how astray we were. Look how far and astray from the right path we were. We used to worship things and then eat them. We used to worship things that animals would come and defecate and urinate upon. We used to bury our daughters alive. This is how we used to live, in darkness, absolute darkness. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala took us out from that darkness and He brought us into the light. So that's the approach that you're meant to have when you speak about back in the days. And likewise, what this narration shows us is that the companions had ghira for the deen. They weren't pushovers when it came to the deen. They weren't pushovers when it came to defending the deen and having honor and jealousy for the deen. They were people that were open to others. They wouldn't shut people off, except for Ahlul Bid'ah, except for the people that innovated into the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Those that tried to invent beliefs, acts of worship, methodologies in order to get close to Allah that Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam never ever legislated. With this category of people, the companions didn't have open arms for them. Yes, they would shut them off, distance themselves away from them, just as Ibn Umar radiallahu ta'ala anhuma, he says in the first narration in Sahih Muslim, when he's told about the Qadariyah, the sect that deny pre-decree, when he heard about them, he said, tell them, I am free from them and they are free from me. I've got nothing to do with them. So the companions, they were humble people, not haughty, not arrogant, not considering themselves to be the elite, no. But when it came to Amr bil Ma'ruf and Nahi anil Munkar, enjoining good, forbidding evil based upon knowledge, not based upon emotion, not based upon compound ignorance. You think you know something, but you don't really. Based upon what Allah said, what the Messenger said, what the companions said. Based upon knowledge, when they would enjoin good and forbid the evil, they'd be serious.